You're not gonna tell
I'm
me you
here.
can tow the vehicle.
I mean, what use is a tow truck if you can't tow anything?
Oh my
So,
gosh. Hit you.
trailer.
Click
So if you
trailer.
just click that trailer button, that
Bang.
vehicle will hitch itself right up,
I did.
and
Whoa.
you should be able to drive around
Oh
with
my-
it. Though I
it's-
would.
What?
Hmm?
It's hooked up. That's crazy. Are you gonna tow me while I tow it?
Think I can.
Oh my god. Wait. Oh my god. Wait, you can tow a guy while he's towing a guy? Whoa.
Dude,
Oh my
look,
god, we're
trailer.
going in the ocean. We're going in the ocean. No, not the
I'm not
refinery.
that bad of a driver. Give me some credit.
Not the refinery. Oh my god, I'm being pulled around with no choice. Wait, I'm
You can
gonna...
release other trailers, so I can release your trailer.
Oh. Oh, you released the truck off of me. Oh no, the car's going.
Oh, I'll get it.
Ah!
Come back, your car.
Yo, I'll hook it up. Here we go. Oh, I got it. Hot pickup, hot pickup. Oh god, we're all over the road. Let's do a formal introduction. I am just a dude with a YouTube channel that wants to talk to the mod creator of an amazing mod, and I guess you can introduce yourself.
I'm DonBruce. I'm coder of the Minecraft Transport Simulator mod, or Immersive Vehicles mod, or if you're an OG user, it's the Minecraft Flight Simulator mod. Many names, one thing, basically it's planes and cars. And
Boom.
sometimes traffic signs.
Beautiful. Yeah, and we are here in the airplane, and we are at the moment 15,000 blocks away from our home, quote unquote. So hopefully what's gonna happen is I'm gonna take this plane into the sky, ask you questions about your mod, we successfully land, and then we can do practical things with your mod. Hopefully. In a perfect world.
Julio!
It's all about just having the finesse, you know? You just gotta let the airplane fly itself.
Exactly. You don't force it up. Although, you do try and avoid those mountains.
Yeah, yeah.
They never inhale.
It's a little bit of a, I like to call this the Costa Rican approach here, because it looks like that opening scene in Jurassic Park when you're flying around here.
It kind of does. All you need is a helicopter and some dinosaurs or something.
Let's start off with our first question, and one that I have seen asked numerous times. When, DonBruce, do you plan on introducing helicopters to your mod? And why are they not added?
Well, I mean, someone did just release a pack with a helicopter in it, but it has blink physics, so if you want a floaty helicopter, one exists. Mainly it's just been a lack of models, and so there's actually one user in our Discord that is making another helicopter, and someone else recently contacted me on Curse about one. So my hope is that after this next update, where I'm currently bashing my head against blocks and stuff for the traffic signals and what have yous, that I'll be able to start working on other features. It'll either be... It really depends on how far people get. It'll either be helicopters, or there's movable parts, which will eventually lead into rotating and retractable landing gears.
Oh, okay. Interesting, because that was another question I saw a lot of people asking is, yeah, they would like
Oh,
to see
yes!
retractable landing gears specifically with animations. So,
Yeah, the hardest part with retractable landing gears is when you retract them, the position of the wheels move, and of all the things that MTS can do, the one thing the code doesn't lend itself to doing is moving parts. You can animate them, kind of like with rotating propellers and rotating wheels and what have yous, but the parts themselves, their hitboxes don't move. And if I do retracting landing gear, I want to do it right and have the wheels move into wherever they're supposed to go. And it's kind of hard to do that if the parts can't move. So it's a lot more internals and stuff that have to go in to get that code working. It's just been some old code I really haven't wanted to poke at.
and even though it does appear you are sitting outside the aircraft, you are enjoying your time.
Oh, it appears you're sitting outside the aircraft too, but clearly you're not sinking, so we must be not...
And that's okay. Another one I saw was, One person said that they are unable to place instruments in the panel. So why would this happen, for example, under any circumstance? Let's give the people some options.
So there's actually a couple of reasons. First is the obvious one. The pack creator didn't actually make their vehicle to have instruments. Usually that's not the obvious one is not the actual one. So then there are two reasons besides that. The first is that, and I think it's with boats, there's certain instruments you can only place in certain vehicles. And when you make an instrument, you tell it what vehicles it can go into.
Okay.
And so with a lot of things like boats and blimps, a lot of the pack creators who have made instruments haven't actually made them compatible with those vehicle types. The other thing I've seen sometimes is they'll say they can't place them or all the instruments are stacked on top of one another. That is mainly due to the pack not getting updated. From version 16 to version 17, I made changes to the instrument code that defines how they're laid out inside the panel. So if you notice, if you pull up the U key, the panel colors are different, you've got different switches and everything. That was a lot of internals and kind of clobbered up the instrument code, and that was kind of one of the main complaints when the version 17 came out, was just the instruments weren't in the right spot. The idea is to make it easier for pack creators to make new panels and align instruments to them. So if you go and get a U&U truck, you'll notice it says a quality U&U product on the panel.
Yep. Okay, so that's fair. Obviously, yeah, like, so, but you've obviously worked out most of the kinks in that, and that's usually associated with like an early release of the mod before it has hot fixes, so that's expected.
Yeah, but basically, and for reference, the way I like to do my version numbering is, if you ever go to a major version change, packs are going to be broken. Now, it may not be a you place down a truck and the game crashes type broken, but it's going to be a pack creators have to update something due to a core game challenge, a game change. And so that's why you'll see a lot of more minor versions like 17.1, 17.2, 17.3, until you have like a core change, and then you go up major version.
Okay.
So that if you ever see that jump, it's kind of one of those, if you ever go up a major version, be prepared for kind of issues.
Okay, that's fair. The next question, which is a bit obvious, and I guess this is a super easy one to answer, can you play this mod in survival? Well, yes, we are playing right now.
Yes,
in
you
survival.
can. Though I do get a lot of questions about how do you craft something, The general gist of the way the mod works is because Minecraft's crafting bench loves to clobber recipes, and because because pack creators will define recipes as they see them, there's no guarantee that you'll actually end up with recipes playing nicely. So I've always felt it's just a better idea, if you're gonna make a new recipe, it goes in sort of a cache of like, here's the materials you need. And so everything gets put together in a bench. And each bench has a different component that gets put in it so you don't get overloaded. So like the drafting table is how you create vehicles, the engine hoist is how you create engines, the seat workbench is how you create seats and crates and barrels. That generally each part group gets put in its own bench so you don't get overloaded with, oh yeah, this bench makes everything in the mod, and have fun scrolling through it.
Yeah, and just to touch on that too, I did make like a bit of a video, like I called it, it's about vehicles, but that is kind of a walkthrough on just what each bench kind of looks like, what it does. The crafting recipes are all brought up with images, so should be pretty easy for people to follow along. And like you said, if not, then just go into creative, look at all the benches options under the Immersive Vehicles tab, and you'll see what you need to find there pretty much if you don't know.
And if you forget, also, I mentioned most of them inside the in-game handbook. So if you just scroll to, like, say, vehicle crafting creation, it'll tell you it uses this bench. If you scroll to seats and cargo, it tells you what bench that uses. If you scroll to like wheels, it'll tell you which one that is. So the idea is to kind of, if you forget, the manual will tell you.
So sorry, yeah, it's the multiplication key on your numpad? to open JEI. Oh, there you are. You see me? I'm to your right.
I see you.
Okay.
I saw you on my JEI.
I'm turning around. I'm turning. Oh wait. Hold on. You're banking left. I'm banking right. We just did some like aerial maneuver. That. 1 sec. Oh, hold on. The game is freaking out right now because it's like, oh god, 2 airplanes, chunks, questions. It's all happening with DonBruce.
If you want to go back towards the city, I can catch up with you.
Okay. Do you have the waypoints by any chance? Or?
No, but I can see you, so I can follow you. In fact,
you can see me. Oh, we're on a collision course. Perfect. Okay, so right there, stay at that heading.
Oh, perfect, on a collision course.
Yeah. This is perfect air traffic control.
My computer yelled at me because it was running low on memory, and then Google Chrome crashed on me. So, but by the time I was trying to like figure everything out, I saw a runway below me, so I just stopped on it.
Okay, perfect. So I am going to land on the runway with you. I believe you landed on the old one, right? The one we were lining
I landed on a taxiway, so
You-
go to Chuck.
Are you? Wait, what? Okay, I see you. Yeah, you landed on the new runway taxiway, actually. Perfect.
Crash, that's a success.
Hey, an airfield with a landing, I'll take. First time for everything. So I'm coming in for a hot landing. Oh
It's
god.
from the Fununku's road mod.
Whoa! Jesus!
Hey, I hear a airplane catching down.
I made it! I think. Okay. Woo! We made that hot landing. Holy crap. Well, this is the big question we were going to ask and then everything exploded. Why, if not, is the mod going to be updated to 1.15.2 anytime soon?
Oh, a lot of the things have changed in 1.5. Slowly, I'm working towards it. In fact, the sound system changes in 17.4 I made are geared towards that. But there's a lot of changes that happen in that Minecraft version that makes it real hard to support content packs. For one, Forge changed kind of how they load everything, so that's not the best in the world. The other thing is networking got changed, so all the way the packets are coded, they're similar, but different enough that it's completely incompatible. So the thing is I can either go and update to 1.5, and that's going to basically leave 1.12 in the dust, or I can go and rewrite the code to a point where it's not really going to have that much different between the two versions, and I can support both of them, and that's slowly what I'm working towards. But it is slow. I don't want to just drop one of the versions and say, oh, yep, nope, only doing this one version, just because it is difficult.
Okay, and that's honestly like that's a very good answer. I'd say like yeah, you just want to make sure that everyone who's enjoying your mod isn't left behind. I saw this question and this was interesting because I feel like this is almost caused by confusion of the people like me who use your mod and have other mods. But one person commented saying that they were having trouble finding fuel fluids to fuel the vehicles because apparently your mod doesn't add fuel sources. So how do they fuel their vehicles?
Oh, fuel has always been kind of a sticky situation. In the early days, basically your option was lava, or lava.
Lava.
Because of just people having different mods and stuff, I wanted to support different fuels for them to use. So the general idea and the general philosophy behind MTS and the way it does fuels is I don't want to make any fuels in the mod because most other people are going to have mods with other fuels in them, be it immersive engineering, which adds biodiesel and ethanol, immersive petroleum, buildcraft, galacticraft, stuff like that.
Okay.
So the fuels you're going to have are just going to be from other mods, and other mods are far better at making fuels than this mod is. So I wanted to offer a way to do compatibility with them. But the other thing is I didn't necessarily want every vehicle to use every fuel. For example, if someone wants to say, well, airplanes have to use a super expensive fuel versus this GMC truck can use any crude oil, whatever the heck we have lying around, it offers a way for kind of mod pack creators to tier things where it's like, well, you might have the components to build an airplane, but you don't have the fuel to fuel it because you're not advanced enough. So the way it ended up being is engines have a fuel type. And so, for example, if you go to an engine bench, that engine hoist, in fact, I don't know if you have one, but if you go to an engine hoist, you'll end up with, say, a engine for the Detroit diesel, which is one of the stock ones in the official content pack, and it says it uses diesel. Now, that's not going to be the same, I mean, it is going to be the same diesel you have normally. So I guess
avgas, diesel, and gasoline. Okay.
Yeah, so let's go with avgas, because we kind of know that avgas isn't a liquid that comes in any mod.
No.
So if you have avgas as a fuel type, if you go into your config file, which is just standard config file, it'll say, okay, here's a fuel type avgas, and then it'll say underneath it what fluids you can use. And that basically says is if you have an engine that takes avgas as a fuel type, these are the fluids in the mod you can use that basically are considered that fuel type. So for diesel engines, of course, diesel is going to be a default fluid you can use for a diesel fuel type. Same thing goes with biodiesel, though it's a hair less potent. Ethanol also runs in diesel engines. You can even put crude oil in diesel engines, but the fuel factor is real small because crude oil is not an efficient fuel. So you can fill a truck to run on crude, but you're not going to get much mileage out of it. And by default, lava comes as a fuel you can use in any vehicle, so it's compatible even with just stock vanilla plus MTS. But if you did happen to want, say, to have a pack where lava couldn't be used, you could take it out. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of a way of doing it doesn't actually care what fluids you have in the mod or in your pack or game or world or whatever, but it gives you the options to do whatever you will with them.
And just to clarify, all you take is, like I did here, the lava bucket. Like everyone will have access to a lava bucket. You just right click on the pump and boom, you have a lava fuel source. It says right there, so you can't misfuel your trucks because the mod actually won't let you anyways. It'll say that it doesn't take that kind of fuel for that type of vehicle, and then boom, you won't have any errors or crashes or anything. What are these blocks that you placed on the bottom here, and from what mod are they?
These are immersive engineering pipes.
Okay.
And so you can also, if you notice how normally that pipe doesn't, like if I take that fuel pump off,
yeah,
that pipe's going to be kind of weird.
Yeah.
And if I go put a block on top of it, it won't do anything.
There's a seam, right?
If you put a fuel pump on top of it, it's going to connect to it.
Boom.
So you can take things out of tanks from immersive engineering and pump them into the bottom of a fuel pump.
Like you were saying, if you have ethanol, for example, and we've produced a bunch of that and have it in this tank, pretty much, depending on your mod.
It's been a long time since I've used that.
Yeah, depending on the mod that you use, this process may look different of like how to get fuel from a tank into the pump, but the idea is the same, right?
There we are, ethanol pumping in.
And just to be clear, 1000 MB is 1 bucket of fuel, and that's just...
in my next update, I'm going to actually be changing the fuel pump model, and I'll be changing it to display in buckets instead of MB. Millibuckets is kind of the internal unit that Ford uses, but most people are used to buckets anyways, and it allows me to make a slightly smaller screen for the new fuel pump model.
So some people I've seen commenting, again, this is another vague one, but they're unable to start their plane or their truck. So any help or suggestions on why a truck, for example, or an airplane won't start? And I'm sure you can think of a couple.
So I can go grab a truck and show that. If you're going to have a car, I mean, an electrical gauge, if you're in creative, won't do you any good because the engines in creative don't use electricity to start anymore. Mm-hmm. It was kind of a way to head off some of the issues about starting. I would personally recommend, if you have a manual vehicle, you're going to need a tachometer because it's going to tell you when you need to shift. So if you had the GMC, you'd want the Detroit diesel tachometer because it takes a Detroit diesel engine. Other vehicles can have their own tachometers. That's kind of up to the pack creator. But having a tachometer tells you when you need to shift in a manual vehicle, so that's good to have.
Okay.
Maybe an electrical gauge. I mean, for vehicles, you really don't need too much if you're in creative. Maybe having a gear indicator would be helpful just to know what gear you're in. Temp gauge, I mean, even if you have a creative engine, then it'll start spewing out smoke, but it isn't going to hurt it because it's a creative engine, so temp gauge really isn't useful, but wouldn't hurt to have if you're in survival and you're planning on doing a bunch of treks across, like, mountains or something where you'll be stressing your engine. That wouldn't be a bad thing to have. And maybe speedometer. I mean, those are kind of the only ones I can really recommend.
Okay. And like you said, the battery gauge and I guess if you have a fuel gauge in there, it will just kind of help you troubleshoot the two basic issues of, if my plane or car is not starting, first I want to check if I have enough battery to start with the electric starter, and then I want to make sure that I have enough fuel to actually keep the combustion in my engine going, which is what a running engine is. So those are the two things.
You need fuel and you need battery. Those are the two big ones.
You have a non-creative engine in the car, sorry. So
just go hold the start key down.
Alright, hold the starter.
It's going to keep cranking, and as you crank, that battery level's going to go down.
So yeah, just to show
and
everyone.
Eventually it's going to get to the point where it doesn't go anymore. So
there it goes. And now I can't do anything, it just immediately flicks back to the center position.
So that means you have a dead battery.
Dead.
And I mean, you can still use the horn apparently.
No,
but,
sorry, I zoomed in onto the battery gauge and it's my horn. Sorry.
But no, so that is basically a dead battery. Now, that can happen only in survival engines now, and the only time that'll happen is if you don't hold, and especially happens on plane and jet engines, and that's kind of what the new sound update was supposed to take care of, but that one's misbehaving, so apparently not. But if you hold start, and you don't let the engine start on a survival engine, and you don't give it time to catch, or if you just try and start an engine without a fuel like we did, then that battery is going to die. The jumper cables work is you right-click one engine, and then you right-click another, and it's going to start transmitting power from one vehicle to another. So if you want to get into that Scout there, you can, that white one, you'll see that the battery gauge is going up.
Yeah, slowly it's going up there. And if you were to turn on that engine and rev it, would it speed this up?
Wouldn't, but I'm just going to wait a smidge for the batteries to equalize, and I'll kind of mention how the jumper cables works, because there's a small caveat with larger engines.
Okay. So then if I right-click and right-click, then it's boom. And you can see as the battery gauge is going up.
I'm going to start this engine and rev it.
So you're giving it gas, and...
Well, that means that my battery gauge is going to go up. But it's still going to transmit power because the engines don't have the same power level. So your battery gauge still should be going up, yeah?
It just stopped slightly below half, and...
Oh, whoops, I must have not revved mine up far enough.
Oh,
You'll probably have to go link the jumper cables up again.
I see, okay. So now I come up to this man, and then I right-click, boom, and then now...
Okay, now I can see my gauge going down. So I got to keep the engine revved in order to keep enough power so mine won't drop down and yours can get fully powered.
So how much engine or electricity do you need to start the engine successfully?
Depends on the engine. For cars, not much. You can be probably at least a third of that hash and you'll have enough. For planes and especially jets take a lot of power to the point where if you're trying to jumpstart a jet, you're probably going to have one person in the vehicle revving it while the jumper cable is working. Otherwise, you'll only get half the energy, and that won't be enough to get the jet started because they draw a lot of power.
What are you expecting someone to send to you when they have a crash due to your mod?
Really, whenever you go to install mods, of course, you've got your .minecraft folder, no matter what version you're on. And inside of that, you'll have a mods folder. Now, if you're using a launcher like a Twitch launcher or a multi-MC launcher, I'm fuzzy as to where they put those files. I know they kind of split them off into other directories. So you might have to go and do a quick Google search to figure out where those are. But in general, there's a folder called Crash Reports, and it sits in the same folder as your mod, not the same folder, next to your mods folder, next to your saves folder, next to your logs, and pretty much everything under that .minecraft folder. So whenever you crash, Minecraft goes and puts a file in there that says Crash Report. Now, ideally, you'd send the whole file, but realistically, I only need the first line, not first line, but first few lines. So there's going to be, of course, a bunch of lines that say like what your system is. There's going to be the little Mojang quip about do you need a free hug or something, and stuff like that. But once you get down there to your crash reports, and there's, of course, a bunch of other gobbledygook in there, but you get down to one, and eventually it'll say like it's hard to say, but there's going to be kind of a block of text, and I got one open here, and it says like Java Lang unsupported operation exception. Mm-hmm. And so then you go down and there's a bunch of gobbledygook, but then another line says a detailed walkthrough of the error and its code path and all known details as it follows. Really, all I need is everything above that line. So it tells me what exact line of my code that particular crash report, that crash happened on. And usually from there, I can find what exactly you need, look where it crashed, and I can pretty much piece together how it could have crashed. There are rare cases, and usually those rare cases involve nasty things like shaders, which tend to mess with code. But where I don't really know what crashed, and I'll have to do some debugging. But most of the time, if you can just send that first line there and that first block, I can figure out what went wrong and find out basically, okay, here's a path I need to fix. Of course, the version you're using, and sometimes also it'll be something with a particular pack. In fact, I had someone today, they had a crash that basically said someone spelled the word emergency light wrong on one of their models, and MTS didn't know what to do with that.
Yes, the syntax error. Beautiful.
so knowing which vehicle it is you were trying to use in some situations around it is more helpful than say, I crash, here's a report. But of course that's situational.
Okay, and that's fair. And just to also add on to that, if the person is playing on a server and they don't have anything to do with the server and it's their client that's crashing, obviously you want their client crash report, but if they have access to the server crash report, would you also want that, or is that...
So that's I guess a point here is, depending on what happens depends on what I'll need.
Okay.
If you're playing on a server and all of a sudden your client just crashes on you, I'm going to need the client crash report because it's your client that crashed. Mm-hmm. If you're on the server and the server crashes on you, then I'll need the server crash report because it's the server that crashed. The client crash report really won't help because there's not going to be a crash report. The one caveat with all of those is if you get kicked. And so if the server, basically you can do something and then all of a sudden you'll be disconnected from the server, but the server's still running and you can rejoin it, that's the one where I'm going to need a log file and not a crash report, because crashes only happen if the game just locks up and dies. But if it's a packet or a network error, then such things end up in the log file, and that's usually something that shows up in the, I think it's the client log, though sometimes it can be the server log.
Okay. And that
usually what happens is the server will send you a packet, your client will throw up its hands and say, I don't know what to do with this, and just disconnect you from the server, and then it throws in the logs what happened.
And that's just to stop everything from corrupting or crashing or whatnot. So.
It's better to kick a client for doing something badly than it is to kill the server.
Exactly. So now about the configs. So let's say I don't like that I wanted to use my Buildcraft fuel, but I don't know how to add it to make my airplanes avgas only Buildcraft fuel. How do I do things like that, or edit the speed of the mod, or anything like that?
Okay, so there are a couple of configs. If you hit the P key and just go to config, they're mainly rendering and stuff with like how you set the HUDs, if you want to have them rendered in first person or not, and if you want them to be transparent. There's a couple of things with controls and mouse yoke and keyboard override. But if you want anything kind of game changing, something like speed, something like damages, where if you want certain blocks to be broken or not, or if you want, like, say, hey, you can actually get sucked into a jet engine and get killed in one hit, or no, I don't want this damage whatsoever, you can edit that in the config file. And so, similar to your crash reports folder and your mods folder and your saves folder, there's a config folder. And inside of that, you're going to find a bunch of configs. Now, as part of the version 15 updating process, and as part of also allowing for customized crafting recipes of parts, I changed the config from a mts.cfg file to a, what is it? I think it's is it mts.json? I can't remember what the heck I changed it
But
to.
just to be clear, before you continue here, it's MTS. It's not actually called Immersive Vehicles config. It's called MTS, as in Minecraft Transport Simulator config.
I probably ought to change that, considering people get confused finding it. So that may be a thing that comes in the more recent updates.
Okay.
I probably should change it to match the mod name and the jar name.
Just to be clear, though, I have seen that question asked, so just to clarify that, though. Some people are asking, how do I open the doors on my vehicles? So...
Don't understand why that is such a common question.
Yeah, it's a very common question.
Now, I can see part of it because during the initial version 16 to version 17 update cycle, as well as the instruments getting themselves clobbered, it was basically an animation update, so all the packs had their animations messed up, so doors wouldn't open even if you did the right operation to open them. So that may have been part of it, is that people were trying to open the doors like they've seen in videos, but it wasn't letting them do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. But really, to open the doors, all you gotta do is go in a vehicle and set the parking brake.
So...
And setting the parking brake, but this one doesn't seem to want to work.
So this is what I'm laughing about, because watch this. Me, as the guy who owns the server, watch. If I come in here, this happens with my friends too. Even in the trucks, you'll hear the hiss as if the air brake has locked, right? And then watch, if I do it though... Oh, okay, I look like a dummy now. Because funny enough, if I do it with my friend's truck, they will open. The doors were open. But maybe this is a model issue. With this model?
It's the same model, because this one works.
Oh, you know what it might be? Do we have an engine in it, or does that matter?
Oh, the engine only is for the hood. You know what? I'm just going to wrench this guy and put him somewhere else.
Because what would you say though, Don? Is that? Oh, there you go. So
maybe it just didn't. So part of the reason the way the doors work is they open when the parking brake is on and the vehicle isn't moving.
Oh.
But maybe it was moving slightly on the blocks. It's something that I'm not quite sure how to solve, and occasionally the doors won't open. If you hear the hiss of the parking brake engaging, but the doors don't open until the vehicle stops, I may change that.
And to be fair,
the point where it will open even if the parking brake is on, but even if the vehicle isn't moving. Or even if the vehicle is moving, you can still open the doors as long as the parking brake is on.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've noticed this, but maybe you want to come over and check out the moon real quick. UNU has officially branded the moon.
I can tell you there are more people that complain about that than anything I know.
Is that a question? So why has UNU branded my moon?
I kid you not. People say, I don't like the UNU moon. Why has UNU done that? And I'm like, okay, I gotta laugh at that one. It's like a Gru moment. So anyway, so let's say you got all these traffic lights. I'm gonna place down this traffic signal controller here.
Boom, traffic signal controller. Okay.
Open to. So I'm gonna go and hit scan for signals and components.
Okay, that big button.
And it's gonna say it found 6 traffic signals and 6 crossing signals.
Okay.
Which I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, okay, I got 6 and 6, so it found all of them. And you can increase your scan distance if you want to find more or less of them.
So do you need one of these controllers for every intersection potentially?
You would, because it's going to control each intersection individually.
Okay.
So again, you're going to scan it. You're going to say, I found 6 traffic signals and 6 crossing signals. Primary axis is Z, mode is time delay, blah, 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 blah. So basically, primary axis is basically what direction is considered the main road. So in this case, it says along the Z-axis is the main road.
So this is the Z-axis.
The main
here.
signal is going to be green for 20 seconds. The cross alternate road is going to be green for 10. Then all signals are going to be yellow for 2 seconds. Then they're going to be red. So if I look and let me see. So
this is
I
the
want
Z
this
right here, walking this way.
East towards positive X. So I want the main axis to be X, not Z, because
So
I want
this
this
is
to
X.
be a primary axis is X.
Mm-hmm.
Time delay, let's say maybe, I don't know, cross signal goes green for 3 seconds every 20 or so seconds. And hit go. Hit go, but now it doesn't want to seem to behave.
So I'm still not getting this light to come alive, but the other two are working. So it just seems really slow, like, to sync with everybody, but it is syncing.
Yeah, I must have just not been close enough.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So there it goes. It changed. You're right. It's like the real-life sensors. Are you close enough?
So I've got the green, and if you pull up, it will...
So it's going to change for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I can... There's the gear.
I heard it. I heard her grinding. All right. And then I'm the guy who pulls up now, trying to just, like, get you out of there. Oh! It worked! Other than having the controller in the middle of the intersection.
That's probably not the best place to leave the controller, but
Hey man,
it's functional.
this
Just
is
as long as no one hits it, the lights will work.
like Don was saying. By the way, I'm just gonna show this in the controller here because I noticed you have an option. So vehicle trigger is the mode. So like you were saying, if I bring my vehicle up to a red light, it will sense me there. Oh, and it should trigger the lights for me. So this is cool. Let's go. Let's do this. So I'm pulling up to the lights a little bit more. They turn yellow. That one turns green for me. And then we're in Moneytown. Easy.
Why are you so much better at piloting them things than I am?
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I think I have played this mod almost longer than you, and you're the guy who made it. Cleaned him up.
I think that was too low of a clearance. My trailer just scraped on the bridge and blew up.
Oh my... Alright.
I'm free of the extra weight. I can catch up now.
Well done. Other than that, I think your mod is again one of the best mods I've ever seen created for this game. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and show me all this stuff. I hope that our video will help people be less confused potentially about your mod, and it'll hopefully let more people experience it, because this is the point right here, really. It's just having fun with people and just look at this. We're in Minecraft just driving right now. This is wild. But is there anything
I will freely admit that as for all the little glitches and stuff it has with the lights and all that, it has been behaving itself quite well on the server.
Oh yeah, I have to say, like, this is such a stable mod for what it is, and like honestly, like I'll say it over and over. I just appreciate the shit out of this mod, and I love the fact that people like you are willing to put this much time and effort into something that is completely voluntary. So,
it's partially me and it's partially the pack content creators. I mean, with the only models I have ever made for this mod have been the NC-172 and the Tri-Motor. Everything else has been made by other people.
Really? Okay, so I'll have to get, like, maybe you'll be able to send me a list, and I can, like, put that up on the screen just to show off, like, maybe the people who deserve recognition just for their creations of their content packs, too. So that, you know, just everybody... This is just the video pretty much just explaining pretty much the biggest questions that I've seen people ask you constantly, and at the same time you were able to explain some stuff. and we're able to have some fun like this driving around. But is there anything you'd like to say as a kind of a closing kind of discussion? Or watch out here, you're gonna have to exit on the right because the highway ends.
It's just, I've said, oh, have any questions? I'm always happy to answer them on Discord and stuff. And I mean, yeah, there are some repeat ones that are, well, damn it. There are some repeat ones that kind of get annoying, but again, it's like I said, it's a labor of love, both from me and both from the content creators who spend many hours of their day making these vehicles and these packs. And I mean, there are certainly a lot of stuff in here, and we've gone through a lot. But there's packs with airships, there's packs with tanks, there's packs with other things, and it's just, like I said, something for everyone. So yeah, I appreciate you having me here, and appreciate you giving me time to show off some of the stuff. And admittedly, I've learned that there are some bugs I need to go take care of.
And you know what, though? I really appreciate you coming on and representing your awesome driving skills. I'm gonna go ahead and put an asterisk and say lag doesn't help.
I mean, the creator of the mod at the very end of the video is stuck halfway wedged in between a bridge. And
so this is exactly what the whole point of Minecraft and mods are. It's just to have fun, and even if you think everything's gonna go 100% right, you're gonna find something that's gonna screw up, but it's okay, because the main thing is you're driving cars or flying planes in Minecraft. If you in the future have time, we may do a potential part 2 of this, because
it wouldn't be bad. There's a few plane things that I'd like to kind of go over and show off.
Yeah, and hopefully people will be able to post, potentially even in the comments of this video or somewhere, more questions that they want to ask, and we'll do maybe the same structure for the next video. We'll give you a kind of a Q&A, and then we'll show off some features, and then potentially make more reparations necessary for my infrastructure. So other than that,
alrighty, well,
cool.
It has been a pleasure, and thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, sir, and you have a good night.